This is interesting. A nursing mother, a pet lover. This is from a review in the article in Science News, excuse me, of a new book called Made for Each Other by Meg Daly-Olmert, about the relationship, the biology of the human-animal bond is the subtitle. And a nursing mother, a pet lover, and a horse in a cavalry charge have one thing in common. She writes, bloodstreams full of oxytocin. No, not OxyContin, the drug that Rush Limbaugh was so fond of, and may well still be, who knows. But oxytocin. Oxytocin is a hormone produced in the hypothalamus, and in pregnant women, in pregnant humans, a surge of oxytocin stimulates labor. In fact, sometimes they'll give an injection of oxytocin to stimulate labor. Once the baby is delivered, that oxytocin induces the mom to start producing breast milk. But most importantly, perhaps from a behavioral point of view, it also creates the feeling of bonding. In fact, in mice genetically incapable of producing oxytocin, they can't recognize other mice that they've previously encountered. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. What they found is that when you pet, your cat or dog, it increases the levels of oxytocin both in the animal and the human. The book notes the hormone's calming effects may explain the benefits of pet therapy, the connections people forge with individual animals, and people's love for animals in general. It also, and this is where it gets, this is kind of the dark side of it, or the downside of it. The work also explores how urban dwellers, people living in cities, become increasingly disconnected from nature and animals, and thus the oxytocin that comes from having a relationship with nature and animals. And one thought rising rates of nervousness and depression could be signs of a population suffering from oxytocin deprivation. Thought that was interesting. Here's another one. Global climate science, global warming deniers. This was, yesterday we had Alex Jones on, and in his video, he's got a guy saying, "Oh, there's no global climate warming. During the medieval climate anomaly, it was warm. It was warmer than it is now." Well, true for Greenland, but that's like saying, "Hey, it's not warm or cold because Santiago, Chile, had a nice winter." It doesn't matter. So they've been trying to figure out why was it warmer. Turns out during the medieval climate anomaly, this is from Science magazine, AAAS's publication. This is 800 to 1300 AD. Temperatures in Europe were generally warmer than immediately before or after. That source of that warmth has been hotly debated, but it seems to be have to do with the North Atlantic Oscillation. This is the flow of essentially what we call the Gulf Stream, warm water coming from the Pacific around the coast of Africa up past the Gulf of Mexico and off the coast of Europe. And apparently that had kicked up. This is the dominant mode of atmospheric circulation variability in the North Atlantic region. And during that period of time, it was like one giant La Nina during medieval times. And it was initiated by high levels of irradiance and amplified by the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation. So it appears that it was started, to translate that into what I think is English, it appears that it was started by perhaps heavy sunspots or something like this, an anomalous period of great warmth from the sun that then got picked up by the ocean, and that carried it for a few hundred years because it changed the North Atlantic current. That is not what we are experiencing right now, by the way. In fact, sunspots right now are at an alarming low. And when they come back, we may see, and so global warming is actually, to some extent, being masked. Here's some bad news, also from the AAA magazine. ScienceMag.org is the website. Science is the magazine. New science standards for Texas schools strike a major blow to the teaching of evolution, say scientists and educators who last week tried unsuccessfully to block the adoption of last-minute amendments aimed at providing an opening for the teaching of creationism. They tried unsuccessfully to block this. The standards incorporate talking points from the intelligent design literature, including doubt that the fossil record provides convincing evidence of evolution. Supporters of the new standards in the Texas school boards, who prevailed on a March 27th vote by a vote of 13-2, say the next step will be to press publishers to modify biology textbooks. Now, here's why it's so important. Texas is the second largest textbook market in the United States. So publishers write their books to Texas standards. And this Mr. McElroy, who's so excited about this, he says the biology text will meet new standards, and they will include an evaluation of the sudden appearance of fossils. They declare that there is no scientific explanation for the origin of life and that unguided natural processes cannot account for the complexity of the cell. Coming soon to a biology textbook in a high school near you as a consequence of this. The same thing happened back in 2004, by the way, when the Texas School Board Textbook Standards Group in 2004 got all references to sexuality and contraceptives removed from textbooks. They are not in textbooks now nationwide.